There's three solutions for Math 243. I'm given a bunch of data. Apparently it's the age that kings took power, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, a bunch of numbers. First thing you want to do is put it into your calculator. So hit stat, and then edit, and then type them all into a list. I put mine in L1. Fine. Now that we have that, we'll be able to use our calculator for, for a lot of things. So the first question here asks which, if any of these observations, are considered outliers. Outliers, I'm not even going to give you a definition. To figure out if something is an outlier, what you need to do is calculate your fences. You need to calculate the upper fence and the lower fence. The formula for the upper fence is it's the third quartile plus 1.5 times the inner quartile range. And the formula for the lower fence is it's the first quartile minus 1.5 times the inner quartile range. So to figure these things out, I need to know Q1, Q3, and IQR. Turns out that IQR, the inner quartile range, is just Q3 minus Q1. So if I could just figure out Q3 and Q1, I'd know the inner quartile range, in which case I'd know all these things. Where you can get Q3 and Q1, you can either do them by hand or you can get them out of your calculator. I'm going to use my calculator since I have it here. Put in all your data, hit stat, and then go to calc. Under one variable statistics, hit enter. Tell it what list your data is in. My data is in L1, and hit enter. Kicks out a bunch of stuff. Way down at the bottom is Q3 and Q1. Q3 is 33. Q1 is 25. Difference in those two numbers is 8. So what that tells me is my upper fence is Q3, which is 33, plus 1.5 times 8. And my lower fence is Q1, which is 25, minus 1.5 times 8. You can either use a calculator or figure these out in your head. 1.5 eighths is 12, and 33 plus 12 is 45. And since 1.5 eighths is still 12, 25 minus 12 is 13. So these are my fences. I shouldn't eat while I'm making videos. So an outlier is anything that is not between your fences. So in this case, this observation right here of 6 is not between 13 and 45. All the rest are. So there's our conclusion. 6 is the only observation that's not between the fences, so it's an outlier. I'm going to put a box around that to really emphasize that that's my answer. Call that good. Okay, next thing it wants us to do is sketch a box plot of the data. You can either do this by hand or, again, you can use your calculator. For a box plot, we need all the data in there. I've already done that. And then since it's a plot, you'll hit Stat Plots. Go into number 1, make sure it's on, and then select the box plot looking one. It's kind of two that look like a box plot, this one and this one. In our class, we want this one. Easy enough. The fourth one, select that one. Tell it what list your data is in. It's in L1. Leave this default. And then choose whatever the hell you want here. Whatever mark you want to signify your outlier. Doesn't matter. Put it there. Then I'm going to do zoom stat just to make sure that my graph zooms around the things that I want it to be zoomed around. And a picture that looks like this. Cool. So draw that thing. Maybe I'll start by making some axes. See, my observations go up to 36. So 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. That should work. They don't label the points on here, but if you use the trace feature, it tells me that my median was at 30. My first and third quartiles, I already figured those out. They were 33 and 25. So I don't know, there's 33, I guess. And there's 25, approximately. That kind of creates the middle box part. And then my largest observation that was not an outlier was 36. So I guess that's somewhere in here. And my smallest observation that was not an outlier This guy 15, way over here. And then furthermore, I even had an outlier way over here at 6. If you want to label these points, you can, or I'm fine with you leaving it just like this. Sketch a box plot of your data, done. Using the picture, describe the shape of the data. So what you're supposed to see when you see here, this thing is asymmetrical. It's not symmetric. The median's right here, but there's kind of this longer tail going out to the left. Most of my data is in this box here. There's a little bit above it, but there's a lot below it. Because this is kind of longer out here. It's further from the median to the third quartile than it is from the median. Sorry, from the median to the third quartile is shorter than the median to the first quartile. And then we have these observations way lower down here. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is I got a tail going out to the left, so it's left skewed. Suppose I somehow knew that mu was 25 and sigma was 5. Use that to calculate the z-score for the king that took power when he was 6. Alright, so the z-score is your observation minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. Best case is to use the population mean and the population standard deviation. When they're given to you, use them. If they weren't given to us, we'd have to calculate them. But they're given to us. It was nice of them to give us those. So my observation is 6. My mean was 25. That's mu here. And my standard deviation, population standard deviation is sigma. That's 5. 6 minus 25 is negative 19 over 5, which is what, negative 3.8, I think. Which is my z-score. You probably just punch this into a calculator at this stage and get this answer and call it good. That's all I do, right? Calculate the z-score. Calculated. Moving on. To be considered, this is the last part. Is that right? Nice, cool. To be considered old when you take power, you have to be in the 80th percentile of the sampled data. Calculate the 80th percentile. 80th percentile. To figure that out, you need to know the percentile formula. The kth percentile is the k divided by 100 times n plus 1 observation. But I don't want the k percentile, I want the 80th percentile. So it's 80 over 100 times n plus 1. N being 15 because I have 15 observations. I guess just throw that all into a calculator. 80 over 100 is 0.8. I mean, you might be able to, you could probably see that and just type in 0.8, but if you didn't, you'd do 80 divided by 100 times 15 plus 1, which is 16, and you get 12.8. So the 80th percentile is 12.8? No. It's the 12.8 observation. If you order your list from smallest to largest, it's the 12.8 one. What's that mean, 12.8? I can find the 12th, I can find the 13th. All right, that's all you need to do. Find the 12th, the 13th, and average them out, because 12.8 is a number between 12 and 13. So you come up here, you got 15 observations. 15, 14, 13. This was the 12th. This was the 13th. So 33 and 35 are the two observations that I'm going to average out. The average of 33 and 35 is 34. That's not 34. That's 34, which is the answer. And it's also the end of this quiz.